Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on The Unheard, a Shudder original about a deaf woman who gets more than she bargained for when her hearing is restored and she can hear the dead. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 11, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Okay, so not a bad premise, right? She's deaf, and of course, her mom disappeared, or maybe was mysteriously murdered, and when she was a child, and she gets the operation, but now she keeps hearing things. She keeps hearing her mother, and it gets worse and worse. Then she starts seeing her, and then it's about the unheard, like dead, calling out. And sees her in videos and stuff. It's a pretty good premise. I like it. She sees her in videotapes and stuff. It makes sense. You got a vulnerable protagonist, right? Her mom died. Additionally, she's vulnerable because she's deaf, but then her hearing's restored. So it's like she's in this new realm, not used to it. So it puts her off kilter. And I guess this is maybe her dad or a relative. And then there's another character who's like a friend of hers from when she was a child. So I think it's part mystery and part horror movie, right? It's like her mother trying to reach out to her to say, hey, I was murdered and here's who murdered me, or watch out. So I could see how this, Shudder does some cool stuff for horror, I think. So first act, she's deaf. She's getting the operation. It's a revolutionary thing. She gets the operation. It's a huge success. She wakes up the next day and she can hear everything. She can hear just like a person who could normally hear. So she goes out. She talks to her friends. This is great and it's wonderful. But she also hears other things that she doesn't quite get. So now from her perspective, it's like, is this normal? She's not totally sure at first. And then as the second act begins, you realize, oh no, she's hearing some crazy stuff. So she consults with the doctors, and they don't know what to make of it. And it gets worse and worse. And then I think she starts investigating her mother's disappearance. I think she knows it as a disappearance as opposed to a murder. Finds out more stuff. But everybody keeps telling her, no, we all know what happened. Don't pursue this. You know. And then between that and what she's hearing, is she going crazy or is it for real? I think it's for real. And then the third act, either she confronts the actual murderer who's really alive, or perhaps her mother's ghost have some, I don't know, maybe she has some nefarious dealings. Maybe her mother's an evil ghost now, or wants to gain revenge somehow. I don't know. Could go a couple of different ways. It looks like she then re-deafens herself at the end of the movie because there's a couple of shots of her with blood running out the ears, or that may be the result of some supernatural thing that happened. I don't know. It kind of could go a lot of ways. Or she solves the murder and then fights the murderer at the end. And then maybe the ghost appears at the last second to save her from the murderer. That would be kind of the happiest ending in a horror movie, right? The murderer gets his due, the ghost is quelled, and the deaf girl goes on to continue to hear. The scariest ending would be like she goes deaf again, but she can still hear her mother's screams, and it drives her insane. Woo! I would totally watch this. Let's see if there's a write-up on it. Here we go. Chloe Graydon, and the actress's name is LaCheyenne Watson, undergoes an experimental procedure to restore her hearing, so she begins to suffer from auditory hallucinations related to the disappearance of her mother. Yeah, it's called The Unheard. It's a good title too, right? It kind of covers both her mother and here, watch her disappear. Here, watch. Boop. It covers her and the mother, the disappearance and what happens to her ears. right? The unheard. The unheard is what she couldn't hear before, and it's not just the sounds, but also her mother. So I like it. I mean, I think it should be a tight 90. Don't get me wrong. This isn't an epic event, but I think, yeah, I think this could be a solid flick. I would totally watch it. I'm not sure if it's free. I never know if it's free on Shudder or what. I think sometimes they have free stuff. I don't know if it's a pay thing or they're gearing up to that. Maybe you pay if to see stuff early and then you get to see it a month later or something. I don't know. But yeah, would I pay for it? I don't know. I'd have to really be in a movie mode, you know. I wouldn't completely dismiss it, but it wouldn't be super high on my list unless, you know, people said, "Oh man, it's amazing." It looks decent. I'll say I would pay for it. Probably wouldn't mind seeing it, you know, for like $5 or something. So that's it for me, Tony D. And sweet little Joan. She looks up at me. She's so sweet. So sweet. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more bass takes. If you can find a more bass take, take it. I will be at Sign of the Pines on Sunday from 11 to 4. Hope to see you there, and we'll see you tomorrow.